Marcus is a lucky game show winner. He can choose one of 3 prizes: a brand new Mercedes, an expensive laptop, or a designer wallet. What do you think is the best choice? Comment below. Look at this Mercedes. The logo is crooked. The car must be fake. The same goes for the wallet. This logo is supposed to be written in a different way. That's what the real logo looks like. But the laptop seems to be okay. The logo is correct. So, Marcus should probably opt for this device. On a rainy evening, Megan came home and found that someone had eaten her chocolate bar. She asked her sisters whether one of them had done it. Maria said she'd been working out in her room and hadn't left it the whole day. Amelia said she would never eat someone else's chocolate. And Emma answered that she'd been outside, watering plants in the garden. She'd just come home herself. Help Megan find out the truth and share your ideas in the comments. It must be Emma. Why would she need to water plants outside if it's raining? Kayla was staying at a hotel in Paris. One day, someone broke into her room and took all her expensive stuff. The police had 3 suspects. Alan said that he had been trying to pour himself some coffee downstairs, but with his arm in a sling, it had been extremely tricky. Marie told the police that she had been at the reception trying to solve some issues with her shower. And Bruce said that he had been sleeping. Help the detectives figure out who's guilty and leave them a message in the comments. Alan broke into Kayla's room. Look at his cast. He's wearing it over his sweater. It must be fake. Detective Morton has received wedding pictures of 2 newlywed couples from a client. He knows that both couples got married on the same beach in the Maldives. It's famous for its beautiful sunsets. But one of these couples is indeed very rich, while the other is broke. For some unfathomable reason, the detective client wants to know which couple has money. If you figure it out faster than Morton and write your answer in the comments, the detective will probably have to give you his badge. The guys on the right are wearing very simple wedding suits, but they're indeed celebrating their wedding on the beach. But if you take a closer look at the couple on the left, you'll soon realize the lighting on their fancy clothes and faces doesn't match the background. Plus, you can spot a few green screen fragments at the edges of the picture. Their photo isn't real. They can't afford to go to the Maldives in real life. They're broke. Mark found himself in the middle of a forest with 3 paths in front of him. The first one was covered with burning hot coals. The second path was so cold that it felt like Antarctica under his feet. And the third path was covered with sharp nails that were able to pierce any footwear. Tell Mark in the comments which path he should choose. The guy should pick the third path. All that ice is bound to be gone soon since it's too close to hot coals. Adam was driving home late at night when he noticed he was about to run out of gas. He stopped at a gas station to fill his gas tank and buy some snacks. Inside, there was a cashier and another customer dressed in black. When Adam came up to the employee to pay, she told him $505. Adam paid, went outside, and called the police to report an emergency. If you have any idea why he did so, comment below. You probably noticed that the cash register actually showed $18.35, but the cashier said $505, which looks like SOS. Detective Brown rushed to an expensive restaurant. Someone had stolen a gold spoon there. If the detective didn't find the real culprit, the waiter would have big problems. Luckily, there were still a lot of people in the restaurant, and Detective Brown questioned the main suspects. A group of friends said they were celebrating a birthday. They wouldn't spoil their party this way. A cheerful man said he'd been walking in the area and had dropped by to check out this place. And a miserable-looking guy answered that his wife had left him and he had come to the restaurant to take his mind off his problems. You must help the detective to find the criminal. When you do, write your answer in the comments faster than the others. The second man lied. He'd said he'd been to the restaurant for the first time, but look, he's wearing a hat with the restaurant's logo. Gotcha! Adam's car broke down right in the middle of a deserted forest road. But the worst thing was that it was winter, snowdrifts were huge, and the wind was freezing cold. Adam had to get to the nearest town, and fast. But if he followed the first path, he'd have to deal with hungry wolves. The second road went through the area inhabited by bears, and if he took the third path, he'd have to cross a river covered with thin ice. You need to help the guy as fast as possible and tell him what road he should opt for in the comments. Adam should sneak through the bear's territory. These animals usually sleep in the winter. Liza was a millionaire's daughter. She was fed up with her father trying to control her life. After he told her one day he'd found a fiancé for her, she decided to run away from home. The girl knew her father would send his people to bring her back, so she never stayed in one hotel for more than one night. Once, she found herself in a small town. It was getting dark, and she had no choice but to stop at the first hotel she saw. The receptionist said that her room number was 910 and offered to show her where it was. Liza immediately grabbed her bag, ran out of the hotel, jumped in her car, and speeded away. If you can write in the comments the reason for such a weird reaction, you deserve the title of the true detective. The first digit of a hotel room number usually means the floor it's on. Room 910 is supposed to be on the 9th floor, but look at the hotel. It only has 3 floors. Young fashion designer Bruno was preparing for his first show. He was a bit anxious, so he took a break to steady his nerves. But when it was time for him to present his collection, no one could find him. In an hour, a security guard saw him in the bathroom, lying on the floor. Someone had hit him on the head. The police had 3 suspects. Maya, one of the models, said she'd had problems with her dress and hadn't even had time to leave the dressing room. Catherine, one of the guests, said that she was Bruno's biggest fan and had been wearing his clothes for years. Apparently, she had no reason to hit him. Sam, the designer's assistant, said he had rushed to the nearest coffee shop to get Bruno an Americano to calm him down. Who is the culprit? Share your ideas in the comments. It was Catherine. That day, it was Bruno's first show. Then how could she be wearing his clothes for years? Richard had a collection of beautiful paintings. One day, while he was away, his favorite one got stolen. The police suspected one of Richard's neighbors. Nicole said she'd been out of town. She returned home just an hour ago and was so tired after a long drive that she immediately went to bed. Dennis said he had been getting ready to paint his house, but since it didn't seem the rain would stop anytime soon, he went to the movies instead. Julie answered that her sister had been feeling unwell. That's why Julie was busy looking after her little nephew. Take that magnifying glass of yours and tell us the truth. Who's guilty? It was Nicole. It had been raining for the whole day. If the woman had returned home just an hour before, the road under her car would be wet.
One day, Marcus was going home from work. There was a blackout in the city and everything was shrouded in darkness. Suddenly, he heard footsteps. Someone was rushing behind him. He started to turn around to check, and that's when the world around him went totally black. Marcus came to his senses in a basement, dimly lit by several candles. There were 3 doors before him. Behind the first door, hungry zombies were waiting for their next meal. Behind the second door, a fire was raging. and the third door hid a mess of bare electric wires. Now, you're the only one who can save Marcus. Write in the comments which door he should choose right away. As you might remember, there's a blackout in the city, so electrical wires are totally harmless at the moment. Marcus should slip through the third door. Strangely enough, the guy found himself in a barber shop. After staring at the scene in front of his eyes for a moment, he realized that one of his clients was in grave danger. Write who it is in the comments below and prove yourself to be as smart as Marcus. Marcus spotted that the red-haired hairdresser had mistaken a bug spray for a hairspray. But once he opened his mouth to warn the client, the entire room vanished into thin air. It was just a hologram. Was someone playing with Marcus? The guy went further. At one point, he turned around the corner and a freezing gust of wind hit him in the face. Marcus was outside and it was winter all around. Behind his back, there was no building, just snowdrifts and dark trees. The man could only move straight ahead. There were 3 paths ahead of him, but the one on the left led through the den of hungry wolves. To follow the one in the middle, Marcus would have to pass by a family of bears. And the right path went over a frozen lake covered with thin ice. The guy is freezing. Help him in the comments as fast as you can. Marcus should choose the path in the middle. It's winter, and bears kind of hibernate during this season. The guy is quiet, he won't wake them up, and will get out of the forest safely. And indeed, Marcus managed to escape danger and soon spotted a house hidden among the trees. But only after he entered did he realize it was a very strange and creepy house. The main clue was 4 doors in front of the guy. Behind door number 1, there was a room filled with piranha-infested water. Door number 2 hit a mountain slope. When someone stepped on it, an avalanche came hurtling down. Behind door 3, there were electric wires hanging low above the floor and some wet stains on the floor. And behind door number 4, there was nothing but a small room with just one window on the 58th floor, nothing else. Write your pick in the comments below faster than the other Brightside detectives. Marcus should walk through door 3. Since the wires don't actually touch the floor, the guy will be able to bend and crawl to the other exit. Unfortunately, whoever was testing Marcus's survival skills didn't want to make life easy for the guy. The door leading out of the room was locked and had 4 keyholes. There were also 4 keys hanging on the wall next to it. If Marcus wanted to get out of the room, he had to match the keyholes and the keys. If you can help him crack this tough task, comment "I can" below the video. Look at the bows of these keys. They all have openings with different numbers of edges. And the trick here is that the number of edges should meet the code number under each keyhole. Marcus was finally out of that scary room, but his adventures were far from over. Of all places, he found himself in a jail canteen. To get past these inmates, he needed to figure out which of them was the wealthiest. Can you help Marcus? The man on the left is a chef. That's why he has a special meal. The guy in the middle has some gold jewelry, but it's unlikely it can help him a lot in jail. As for the man on the right, he has a smartphone hidden in his pocket. And in prison, such a gadget means the ability to communicate with the outside world. So he must be the most influential and richest among them. But if you disagree, write your opinion in the comments. Poor Marcus. To get out of the jail canteen, he needed to choose the safest exit. But all of them seemed equally terrifying. The first one led to the den of a horrible dragon. the second to a room filled with boiling lava. And to get to the third room, Marcus would have to sneak through flesh-cutting laser beams. Well, that's a tough choice. Tell Marcus in the comments which way he should pick. The safest way is probably to sneak through the third exit. It's not going to be a walk in the park, but at least those laser beams are not moving. The next place Marcus found himself was in a battle area. Apparently, that mysterious force that was playing with him had notched the game. 3 creatures were waiting for the guy, and he needed to fight one of them to survive. The first monster had the head of a rattlesnake and the body of a giant ferret. The second one had the body of a gorilla and the head of an alligator. And the third creature had the face and body of a great white shark and the tail and claws of a bear. Which monster should Marcus choose? Share your wisdom in the comments. The first 2 monsters are likely to be extremely dangerous opponents. Imagine how agile and venomous the snake ferret might be. And the gorilla gator is certainly too strong for Marcus to defeat. As for the shark bear, well, since sharks have gills and can't breathe on land, the guy will just need to wait a bit, and this opponent will get out of his way on his own. Once everything was over, Marcus was transported to a dimly lit room. A bizarre-looking family was in front of him. Marcus had to figure out which member of this family was possessed by a ghost. Being as observant as he was, he soon found the answer. And how observant are you? Write in the comments. Admittedly, this woman looks kind of scared, but she's not possessed. She's choked on some food and can't breathe. The man is wearing dark glasses, even though he's indoors. Suspicious. But he's blind. Do you see that white cane the blind use next to him? The granny is the one who is possessed. There's a trace of ectoplasm that goes through the whole room towards her. After successfully cracking the riddle, Marcus found himself in a jungle. After wandering for hours, he came to a place where the path split into 3 smaller trails. The first one led to an active volcano with red-hot lava bubbling in its crater. If Marcus chose the second path, he would get to a clearing swarming with venomous bats. And the third path ended in a swamp, swallowing everything and everybody that got there. If you know where the guy should go, tell him in the comments, please. Marcus chose the second path, since most bats are only active at night, plus they almost never attack humans, and found himself at home in his own bed. Was it just a creepy, very detailed dream? Write what you think about it. Here's Hudson. He's a college teacher. It's the last day of the semester, so he has a bunch of paperwork in his office. Suddenly, someone turns off the electricity in the entire building. Hudson goes to the basement with generators. There he sees a turned-off switch and 3 people standing next to it. They all say they didn't touch anything, but one of them is lying. The janitor says, "The lights went out when I came here to clean up." Rebecca says, "I'm a new student. I got lost in the corridors and accidentally got here." And Nick says, "I'm a last-year graduate. I came here to find a toy owl, a souvenir I had hidden here many years ago." Who's lying? The janitor has a bucket and a mop, so he's not lying. There's a toy owl in the corner of the room, so Nick is telling the truth. Rebecca is lying. It's the end of the semester, so she can't be new at this time. One of Hudson's students, Paul, has a crush on another student named Liza. Once he got a note from her saying she liked him. So Paul decides to write her back and ask her out. Unfortunately, he doesn't remember which desk is Liza's. There are 2 possibilities. Can you guess which desk is the one he needs? If you remember, the note was written in green ink. There's a similar green pen lying on the desk on the right. So this is most likely Liza's desk. After classes, Hudson is leaving the building and faces a group of his students. They ask him to take their picture. Can you spot an odd detail in the resulting shot? This guy here has 3 hands. Liza and Paul are having fun outside during their winter break. Liza is learning how to skate on the lake, and Paul is skiing in the forest. Who's not smart? Liza. The ice on the lake is cracking, and there's no one around to help her. Unlucky Liza. Paul, meanwhile, returns to the dorm. He's starving, so he opens the fridge that he shares with his roommate Nick. Right away, Paul begins to yell at his roommate. "Nick, you stole my food again!" Nick replies, "You're a liar. I didn't." Paul says, "Well, I have proof. I took a picture of our fridge before leaving." Can you tell who's lying by just looking at these 2 images? Take a closer look. The shelves are signed. These 2 shelves are Nick's, and the other 2 Paul's. These 3 items disappeared from Paul's shelves. This means that the liar is Nick, and it's time for a new roommate. Meanwhile, Liza and Paul are having a date tonight. Apparently, the lady on the lake survived the cracking ice. But Liza's dorm is situated on the opposite side of this maze. Can you help Paul pass through this labyrinth to meet his date? Here is the only way out. The college dean, Nina, hires a handyman to transform the area around the campus. That's what she says. Your task is to put 7 benches. I will triple your paycheck if you find a way to put exactly 6 rows of benches in a straight line. Also, each row should have 3 benches in particular. Can you help the handyman accomplish this task? He should put 3 benches as the vertices of an equal triangle. 3 more benches should be put at the center of each side of triangle. And the last bench should be at the center. The handyman gets to work and goes to the storage room to grab some tools. Can you find 2 identical items? Hey, here they are. The handyman is bored, so he starts a quiz game. He keeps asking the same question to every student he meets, but each time the answer is different. Can you guess the question? The handyman's question is, "How are you doing?" Hudson's teenage daughter, Jill, failed a test. So he makes her stay at home and study instead of going to a friend's birthday party. Meanwhile, Nina's teenage daughter, Jules, got sick. So she spends the entire day in her bedroom instead of going to the movies. Both daughters come down to dinner at 7 o'clock. Which parent was deceived? Nina. Take a look at the window. It's raining heavily. Jules has wet hair and dirty water on the edges of her jeans. It means she was outside. Uh-oh, liar. The next morning, Hudson and Nina both wake up earlier to prepare breakfast for their families. Nina is making sandwiches. Meanwhile, Hudson is making eggs with bacon. Who's wrong? Hudson, Oops, he forgot to turn on the stove. Hudson is walking to work through his favorite park and sees this scene. Can you spot what's wrong in this picture? There are two suns in the sky. Uh-oh, Tatooine. Hudson arrives at his class and starts with a witty riddle. Can you tell me which part of London exists in France as well? The correct answer is the letter N. A huge drama is taking place in a diner next to the college campus. The owner of this place screams, "Where's my money? It's 30 minutes till the end of the working day." But there's no money in the cash register. 3 employees have been working today, but they swear that they haven't touched the money. They say there have been no customers today. The boss doesn't believe them. He studies the employees, trying to spot the thief. Liza is wearing a pair of stylish sunglasses and brandy clothes. Mike is also wearing some costly designer clothes and an expensive phone. Robin is wearing a regular dress and fake jewelry. Who took the money? Nobody. Take a look at the sign on the door. It says open. That means that people on the street saw the closed sign on the other side. That's why nobody entered and the cash register remained empty. Hudson finds a secret hallway in the basement of the college building. He decides to explore it and finds an old treasure chest. But as soon as he touches it, 3 zombie pirates come out and grab him. One of them says, "Hey, we've been protecting this gold for 500 years. You can't take it." Hudson notices that something's wrong with these guys. Can you figure out what exactly? Well, they seem fake. This zombie is wearing sneakers. The second one has a phone in his pocket. And the third zombie has a price tag attached to his saber. Ah, busted! Molly is very nervous. She met a great guy online, and today they're having their first offline date. They have never seen the pictures of each other. Their date will take place in an old part of the campus at night. Molly arrives at the meeting point and sees 2 guys. The first one says, "It's a weird place for a date, but I'm glad to see you." And the second guy says, "It's me. I couldn't wait to see you. You're even more pretty than your photos." One of them is Molly's date, while the other one, a dangerous criminal. Can you guess who is who? It's the second guy who is dangerous. He mentioned photos, but Molly didn't send her online crush any pictures of herself. Therefore, the first guy is her date. Molly and her date want to go to a local nightclub, but the guard can't let them in without a password. He gives the guys a hint. "The more places I go, the less you can see. Who am I?" Darkness is the password. It's a beautiful weekend day. Nina is working in her garden. Suddenly, someone attacks her from behind and she faints. Later that day, she gets better and talks to the police. Nina suspects one of her neighbors. Some of them don't really like her. Officers question 3 suspects. Bill says, "I've been planting trees with my daughter all day long." Sabrina says, "I was just peacefully watering my gorgeous flowers and continue to do so." Luke says, "I rarely leave my house, so I don't even know this woman." Who's suspicious? Sabrina's garden hose isn't even connected to the water source. It's just lying on the ground. Therefore, her story is fake. Now, Bella and Ella are preparing for an epic party. Can you figure out who's not very smart? Even though Bella looks as if she's about to touch a hot iron, the device is actually unplugged, so she probably won't burn herself. Meanwhile, Ella is about to touch a heated waffle. Bella and Ella text their friend named Mike, who never answers any questions directly. They invite him to go to a party together. Mike's answer is kinda weird. Sorry, no money, job and job. Now, can you help the ladies crack Mike's message? Mike said he had no money because he was in between jobs. Bella and Ella arrive at the nightclub and see a huge line at the entrance. The local guard, Greg, checks people's ID cards. His task is not to let in suspicious people and folks under 21 years old. Here's the first guest's ID card. What do you think? Can you help Greg decide if he can let this visitor in? She seems fine. Let her in.
Yes!
Here's the next guest. What do you say? June 31, doesn't exist. There are only 30 days in June, so no entry, buddy.
Oh no!
Now what about this guy? Something's wrong with his birth date as well. There was no February 29 in 1977. That wasn't a leap year. And what about this lady's ID? Yep, she's good to go.
Okay.
Here's another candidate. What do you say? Well, he's 22, so he seems fine. Finally, Bella and Ella enter the club building, but they take a wrong turn and get lost. Finally, they enter an old-fashioned two-story hallway with a beautiful fountain in the middle of the room. That's when Bella and Ella realize that they are not alone. There are many ghosts here. Can you figure out the exact number? There are 7 ghosts in this space. One of the ghosts is hiding inside the fountain. And the lady over there is not a ghost. She's standing on her feet and she's sweating. So she's very much alive. The lady is the owner of the property. She says, to get out of this place, you have to crack the following puzzle. Can you help Bella and Ella figure out what number is hiding under the question mark? It's 1. 5 equals 1 because 1 equals 5. That was mentioned earlier in the equation. Bella and Ella are very hungry. Finally, they get to the party and see 2 tables with snacks. Although they look identical, there are 5 differences between them. Can you spot those details? Feel free to pause the video if you need more time. Here they are. Bella and Ella take a couple of selfies at the party. Can you spot 3 differences between these pictures? Ah, 1, 2, and 3. Bella goes to the dance floor, and Ella stays on the sofa. After a while, Bella returns and finds no Ella, only a creepy note on the sofa. We have imprisoned your friend in the middle of this labyrinth. Go save her before it's too late. Bella approaches the labyrinth entrance. She's worried that once she walks in, she won't be able to find her way out.
Oh my god.
How can she escape the labyrinth without getting lost and wasting too much time? She should put her right hand on the right wall and go forward, touching it at all times. She'll be walking into traps along the way. But if Bella follows the right wall, she'll get out of traps and will eventually find her way out of the labyrinth. Let's take a look at this labyrinth from above. Can you help Bella find the correct path? Here's the only route leading to the final destination. Bella manages to find Ella in the center of the maze. Suddenly, a secret door opens, and a creepy voice announces, "You can use this elevator to leave, but first, you have to enter a 4-number passcode to turn it on." Can you help the ladies crack the code? Take a look at the 4 symbols on the elevator. It's a hint. Each image implies a number. The word crown consists of 5 words, so it implies 5. Necklace implies 8, ring 4, and diamond 7. And the code is 5847.
Oh.
Bella and Ella want to return to the party, but they face a guard who says, "You'll have to crack my riddle if you want to come in." What is that thing that you have to break before you can use it? The ladies crack this mystery right away. What about you? The correct answer is an A.
Yes!
Bella and Ella are walking down the corridor. They face a locked door. There are 5 buttons on the door, but only one of them will let Bella and Ella pass. If they choose the wrong one, the door will get blocked forever. Can you help them choose the correct button? There's something special about almost all these buttons. The first one is unlike the others because it doesn't have an outline. The second one has a different shape. The third one has a different color. And the last one is smaller than all the others. The fourth button doesn't have any distinctions. That's what makes it so special. So Bella and Ella should press this one. Yay! The party goes on. 3 guys approach Ella and invite her to the dance floor. But only one of them is safe to dance with. Can you decide who? The first guy has too many spikes on his clothes. He might accidentally scratch Ella. And the second guy is a sorcerer. He has a love potion in his pocket, so he can't be trusted either. Therefore, Ella should pick the third guy. Bella takes a picture of Ella on the dance floor. She freaks out right away.
Oh my god.
Why? There's a skeleton among the dancing people. Ella gets very thirsty after dancing and approaches a waiter. He offers her an infinite supply of free drinks if she can crack his riddle. "I'll give you 1 glass of milk and 1 glass of water. You'll need to pour the 2 liquids into a bowl, but you should be able to separate the milk from the water later. You can't use any kind of dividers." It took Ella a while, but she cracked this riddle. What did she do? She poured all the water into a bowl and froze it. After that, she added the milk.
Oh.
Finally, Bella and Ella leave the party and enter a supermarket to grab some snacks. They see 2 ladies. One of them is married to their friend Mike. Can you guess who? It's the lady on the left. Her shopping cart contains shampoo for men's hair and beard. Bella, Ella, and their common friends, Nick, Nancy, and Adam, are hanging out at Mike's place. The next morning, they find Mike unconscious in the living room. None of the 5 friends know what happened to him. The police show up and they find a note next to Mike's calendar. It reads 4, 12, 8, and 3. The detective already knows who attacked Mike. What about you? It was Adam. The note was next to a calendar. 4 implies April, 12 implies December, 8 August, and 3 March. Take the first 3 letters of each month, and you get the name Adam. The next day, Bella and Ella go skydiving. Oh no, Bella's parachute hasn't opened, and she's now plunging toward the ground. There are 2 places where she can land. Bella can either fall into the lake or into this large haystack. Can you help her choose the best option? Bella should try to fall on the hay. Can you see those creepy crocodiles hiding near the lake? Bella manages to land safely. She meets Ella and they go camping. Unfortunately, Ella gets bitten by a snake, and Bella is trying to suck the venom out of her leg. Mike is also on the trip. Suddenly, he spots a black widow spider on his arm. Who's in a bigger danger, Bella or Mike? Bella. If she has any scratches in her mouth, the venom will get inside her bloodstream. As for Mike, black widows rarely bite people, and the bites are rarely fatal.
Jenny went to her favorite coffee shop and bought a latte. After she put her stuff and her coffee on the table, she went to the restroom to wash her hands. But when she came back, her latte was gone. There were only 3 other customers in the cafe. Can you help Jenny figure out who drank her coffee? This guy here has the same latte cup, but there are ice cubes in it. He must be drinking iced coffee. This lady's cup on the table is too small. She must be having an espresso. But check out this guy. Even though he doesn't have any drinks on the table, he has a coffee mustache on his face. And Jenny's empty latte cup is inside the trash behind his table. Kenny, the beach guard, spotted 3 people arguing on the beach. They were all claiming they had found a gold necklace in the sand. Tom said, "I found it with my metal detector." Lisa said, "I found it in the ocean while swimming." And Mike said, "I was digging in the sand to make a sandcastle, and that's when I found the necklace." Kenny knew only one of them was telling the truth. Who really found the necklace? Tom said he found the necklace with his metal detector, but it's turned off. Lisa said she found the necklace while swimming, but it's dry, unlike Lisa's swimsuit. So it couldn't have just come out of the water. That means Mike is telling the truth. Greg was taking a stroll in a busy park, but then he realized his wallet had disappeared. He remembered 3 people had bumped into him earlier, and one of them must have stolen his wallet. The police brought all 3 of them to the station. The first lady said, "It wasn't me. I have no pockets to hide the wallet." The second lady said, "I was only chasing after my dog." And the third guy said, "Look at my pockets. I have nothing in them." Who took the wallet? The third guy's pockets might be empty, all right, but take a closer look at the skateboard he's holding under his arm. This section of it is wrapped with duct tape, even though the skateboard doesn't look broken. And under the tape, hidden, there's something bulky. That must be Greg's wallet. Barney, the owner of the local gym, called Detective Espinoza and said someone had broken all the sports equipment before he arrived. When Detective Espinoza watched the security footage, he noticed that the vandal was still inside the gym and was last seen entering the dressing room stalls. Detective Espinoza immediately rushed there, but all 3 stalls were occupied. Can you help him find out who the criminal is? Take a look at the stall on the right. The small notice says it's out of order. Moreover, the lady inside it is either wearing underwear over her jeans or she just disguised herself in a hurry. So, the criminal is in the right stall. Bella went to the performance of a famous circus company. They were especially known for their skilled rope walker who never had any trouble during any of her performances. But right before she was about to step onto the rope, Bella shouted from the audience, "Stop the show!" Can you tell why? Take a look at the heels of the rope walker's shoes. The right shoe's heel is cracked. That could easily catch on the rope and cause her to slip no matter how talented she is. James had been saving money to buy himself a new motorcycle. He finally had enough to get the new model. When he headed to the store, he saw that there was a special offer. The helmet and other safety equipment would be free if he could answer this riddle. What kind of coat is always wet when you put it on? Can you help James get freebies? The answer is a coat of paint. James couldn't wait to drive his motorcycle back home. However, on his way, he made a wrong turn and ended up at an unknown crossroad. Which path should he take? The first path is all muddy, and that can make the bike slip. The second path looks like it's only covered with dried leaves. But if you take a closer look, you can see nails that can give James's motorcycle flat tires. So he should take the third path with the tiny pebble stones. After completing her yoga class, Aisha couldn't find her car keys. When she claimed it to the receptionist and asked for help, she said she saw 3 people near her locker. When Aisha questioned them, Rupert said he didn't even know how to drive. Lily said she was living within walking distance of the studio, so she wouldn't even need to drive. And Alan said he only had his own car keys. Can you tell who's lying? Look at the keys Alan is holding. He said those were his car keys, but the keychain has Aisha's name on it. He has her keys. As Amy was hiking in the forest, she reached a crossroad on the trail. When she searched for her bag to check the trail map, she noticed it was gone. And now she didn't know which path to take. Can you help her? The second path might look clear, but do you see the "Beware of Avalanche" sign under the leaves here? Seems like this won't be the safest option. As for the third path, take a look at these trees here. They all have bear claw markings on them, so she shouldn't choose that one either. But she can easily climb over the fallen tree blocking the first path and continue heading to the camp safely. Barry's boss loved games, and the only way to get a promotion in the company was if employees answered his riddles correctly. It was finally Barry's turn to have a meeting with him. When he entered the office, the boss said, "Tell me the answer and become a senior." A man and his boss have the same parents but are not siblings. How is this possible? He is self-employed. Ben and his girlfriend Jessica were enjoying the carnival in town. That's when Ben spotted the "Find the Odd One, Win the Prize" notice on one of the booths. The prize was a pearl necklace, and he wanted to win it for Jessica. The owner of the booth said Ben needed to spot the different wind-up toys on 3 different shelves. The first shelf had little bear toys moving around. Can you help him find the different one? This little bear's face looks as if it's blinking, unlike the others. The second shelf was full of small wind-up robot toys this time. Which toy is different? This robot has a square nose, unlike the others with triangle noses. The last shelf has cute wind-up fairy toys. Which one is different? This fairy here has 3 wings. Detective Terry was chasing a robber who was running away across a crowded street. But just as he was closing in, a passerby momentarily blocked his view, and the robber vanished. At the end of the road, there were only 3 shops where the robber could be hiding. Take a look at the display windows of each one. Can you spot him? Look at the hung clothes on the shelf that can be seen from the second store's window. Can you spot a glimpse of the red sneakers matching those worn by the robber? He's hiding in there. Victoria was invited to a costume party at her office. When she arrived, she noticed that one of her colleagues might actually be a monster. Can you tell who? Take a look at the guy wearing a superhero costume. Both of the gloves he is wearing are left-hand ones. On a winter day, a man was standing in the middle of someone's front yard. The person stayed there for several weeks without moving, and the owner of the yard didn't mind. Eventually, the man left. Who was the man? It was a snowman, of course. He left a couple of weeks later when the temperature went up. Over winter break, 5 best friends each did different activities in different cities. Can you find out each friend's full name, what they did, and where they went? Their first names are Julie, Megan, David, Fred, and Sam. Their last names are Wallace, Thompson, Mallard, Shields, and Drake. Their preferred activities are a ski trip, moving to another place, a cruise, cooking classes, and visiting relatives. The places where they went are Houston, Paris, Cleveland, Vancouver, and Miami. And now, there's a bit more info you might need. 1. Julie and Miss Wallace were sad that David wasn't coming back. 2. Neither Sam nor Julie had ever left the US before this winter break. 3. All the first names that have 2 syllables belong with the last names that have 2 syllables. Nobody's last name starts with the same letter as their first name. 4. Miss Mallard is excited to learn about French cuisine. 5. Mr. Thompson doesn't want to move. 6. The friends, in no particular order, are as follows. The girl who is going on a ski trip, Mr. Shields, Megan, the boy headed to Houston, and Julie. 7. Cruises can only be taken in warm coastal cities. Ski trips can only be taken in cold, mountainous places. Remember that this winter. 8. The cruise ship Fred is traveling on does not dock in Houston. Also keep in mind that Sam can be a boy's or girl's name. In this case, it's short for Samantha. Julie Mallard takes cooking classes and she went to Paris. Megan Wallace moved to Cleveland. David Thompson visited his relatives in Houston. Fred Shields went on a cruise in Miami. Sam Drake took a ski trip in Vancouver. It's 1962 and you're traveling to Innsbruck, Austria to see the Winter Olympics. When you arrive at the stadium, nobody is there. You ask a passerby, Why isn't anyone here for the Winter Olympics? The man answers your question. You both laugh at your silly mistake and you go back home. What did the passerby tell you? He told you that the Winter Olympics wouldn't start until 1964. There are a few airplanes on the island. The tank of each airplane contains just enough fuel to fly halfway around the world. Any amount of fuel can be transferred from one plane to another while in the air. The only source of fuel is on the island. It's assumed that all the planes burn fuel at the same rate and fly at the same speed. What is the smallest number of airplanes needed to ensure that one plane flies all the way around the world? All the planes should return safely to the island. Only 3 planes are needed. Planes A, B, and C leave the island together. After flying 1/8 of the distance, plane C transfers 1/4 of the contents of its tank to plane A and 1/4 to plane B. This leaves C with 1/4 of its fuel, which is just enough to get back to the island. Planes A and B continue for another 1/8 of the way. Plane B then transfers 1/4 of the contents of its tank to plane A. Plane B now has half a tank of fuel left, which is enough to go back to the island. Plane A now has a full tank and continues to fly until it runs out of fuel, which occurs when it's 1/4 of the way to the island. It is met by Plane C, which has already been refueled. Plane C transfers 1/4 of its tank to Plane A, and they both head home. Planes A and C run out of fuel when 1/8 of the way to the island is left. Luckily, they're met by Plane B, which has been refueled too. Plane B transfers 1/4 of its tank to each of the 2 planes, and the 3 aircraft now have enough fuel to get home. 2 50-foot ropes are suspended from a 40-foot ceiling 20 feet apart. You have only a knife. How much of the rope can you steal? Almost all of it. First, tie the ropes together at the ends. Then, climb one of the ropes. Make a loop as close to the ceiling as possible. While hanging from the loop, cut the rope just below it. But don't drop it, otherwise you'll be stuck up there. Run the rope through the loop and tie it to your waist. Swing over to the other rope and pull the rope that's going through the loop tight. Cut the other rope as close to the ceiling as possible, holding tight to the end of it. Once the rope is loose, you will swing down below the loop. Let yourself down to the ground by letting the rope out. At the bottom, untie yourself and pull the rope completely through the loop. At this point, you'll have all the rope except what was used to tie the loop. You find yourself trapped in a medieval castle far away from civilization. It's freezing outside. You can't jump out the window because it's too high above the ground, and even snowdrifts won't make the jump softer. The only tree growing near the window doesn't look sturdy enough for you to climb down. However, there are 3 doors, one of which can lead you to freedom. But behind the first door, there's a fierce fire. The second door holds back hundreds of venomous snakes. And behind the third door, there's a pitch-dark maze, and you can only imagine what surprises are waiting for you there. Which door should you choose? The third one. You'll just need to break off a tree branch, turn it into a torch by lighting it in the first room, and go through the maze, which wouldn't be dark anymore. When Mary came to work after a winter break, she realized that the office had been robbed.
Oh, no.
The night guard said he had been patrolling the building when he'd heard suspicious noises. When he got there, he saw that the office door was wide open, and so was the safe. The man also added that he had looked out of the window and noticed someone get in a car. But the sun blinded him, and he didn't manage to see who it was. Mary instantly called the police. Why?
Uh-oh.
There's no sun at night, so it couldn't have blinded the night guard. He must have invented the whole story to help the criminals. Or is he the thief himself? Tina and Timothy loved adventures. Once, they decided to check out an ancient castle in Greenland that was said to belong to a witch. That witch used snow to perform her magic and could turn into any object and copy anyone's appearance. In the castle, they used torches to light their way.
Oh, no.
All of a sudden, their torches went out. Tina got terribly scared. But then, the torches lit again, and she saw two husbands of hers in front of her. Can you tell who is her real husband? It's the man on the right. He has 5 fingers, like a regular human. The man on the left has 4 fingers, so it must be the witch. An anonymous person called the police and told them that a notorious criminal had come back to the town. The next day, they called the police once again to report the screams they had heard. They had been coming from an abandoned house. The police rushed there. They broke in and saw 3 tied-up men. They figured out that one of them must have been the criminal. One of the officers said that he knew exactly who the criminal was. Can you spot them? Look at the man on the left. Can you see a phone in his pocket? A true criminal would never let their victim use a phone. Take him, officer!